Hello, everybody. Let's talk about climate. Let's talk about our future. Who is here with a car that has no combustion engine? A few. Whom of you would agree to fly continental or intercontinental only once a year to reduce CO2 emissions? Or maybe not flying at all anymore? At least a few. Let's talk about what we can do to avoid these prohibitions, these restrictions. Let's talk about our climate change. So our world, our wealth, our economy is based on fossil fuels. We are burning fossil fuels in cars and ships, in aviation. We are burning natural gases in the industry. This leads to CO2 emissions, growing CO2 emissions all over the world. This leads to climate change, to natural disasters. You all can experience that, not only in the media, but also by yourself here in Germany. But what can we do? We can save energy, switching off our lights at home. We can drive electrical cars. We can also replace our natural gas heating systems by heating pumps, but all that is far from enough. What we need is to replace our natural gases, our fossil fuels in the hard-to-abate sectors like steel, like cement, like aluminium, so where we need molecules instead of electrons. So we have to find solutions for all these sectors where fossil fuels are needed, where high energy density, high energy demand is, so where we can't come around with electrons, where we need molecules, these hard-to-abate sectors, as we see it here on the left side. To come to the picture on the right side, we need molecules, and that is what I want to talk about. So, as you see here, we already realized that we have a climate change, that we have to fight against the climate change. And we started to fight against the climate change decades ago when we started to build huge renewable plants. You see here a picture where we see fossil fuels and renewables next to each other. It's in Groningen, Emshaven. By the way, there is a data center of Google next to it with an energy demand of 500 megawatt. The energy demand of the data centers in the northern part of Europe, not only Google, is around 4 gigawatt. That is around 3 nuclear plants. So to give you an idea how many renewable energy we need. So, but we already started this energy transition, as you can see here. But what is now exactly necessary to fight against this climate change? So that is what you can see here. What is the goal? What is our challenge? So we have now CO2 emissions of around 740 million tons a year in Germany. And we want to be climate neutral, net zero in 2050 in Europe and 2045 in Germany. Means reduce 740 million tons of CO2 emissions in 23 years, back to 0 tons of emissions. And for that, we need a green gas. We need a gas which is produced without any emissions and a gas which is burned without any CO2 emissions. And this green gas, this green molecule is hydrogen, green hydrogen, produced only by water and renewable energy. And with this green molecule, this green hydrogen, is a linking piece in our energy transition. It's the game changer. And why is it? I won't explain all this picture, but you can see what is the main thing. Why is hydrogen the game changer? Because we can transport green hydrogen and therefore molecules, and we can transfer the renewable energy from there where it is produced, where we have it in plenty of renewable energy in the southern part of the world. We can ship it, shipping the sunshine, we talk in ships as ammonia from Africa, from South America, from Australia, to the countries here in Europe where we need the molecules. And we can store the energy as green hydrogen, as ammonia in the pipelines. We can store it in tanks. We can store it in caverns. So we can use the energy then when we need it, and not then when it is produced. And that is why green ammonia and green hydrogen is the game changer. We can store it, we can transport it, and we can use it in all these sectors you see on the right side. We can produce fuels, synthetic fuels from hydrogen, for shipping, for aviation, for trucks. We can use it as a gas, as a green gas for the steel industry, for the aluminum industry, for the glass industry. We can use it also to burn it directly into cars, into combustions. So we have a lot of applications for the green hydrogen. And that's why this green hydrogen is really a game changer. Now you can say, okay, why do we go ahead as Germany? You see here on this football, the right side, Germany, 1.8% of the global CO2 emissions are responsible. Germany is responsible. You see China, you see it all. So it is not like that China not started to become CO2 neutral. They will become 2060. But why should we go ahead? Why should we jeopardize our wealth? Why should we spend really billions of money in the energy transition? And my answer is because we can. We are able, we have the technologies. We have the technologies in Germany to really save the world, to convince all the other countries what is possible with a green energy transition, with all our technologies, also in green hydrogen. And that's why we have to go ahead. And also to show that hydrogen is really a big global business. And as I talk about global, you see here, this is a map of the world. And you see some countries colored from green to brown. They are able to produce hydrogen with cheap renewable energy. And we have Europe, or the pink, and also Asia, with a big demand of hydrogen. And that is why it's a really global challenge. And if I talk about global challenge and global cooperation, I will give you an example. What does it mean concrete? Talking about steel production, the biggest steel plant in Europe is in Duisburg, producing 12 million tons of steel with 20 million tons of CO2 emissions out of the 740 million tons. The company there started to replace the first of the 4 blast furnaces by a direct reduction plant to use hydrogen to produce 2.5 million tons of steel out of these 12 million tons of steel. But to do that, starting 26, there's a demand of 150,000 tons of green hydrogen in Duisburg as a gas to burn it in the direct reduction plant. So what does it mean? 150,000 tons of green hydrogen needs 1.5 gigawatt of electrolyzer. And this 1.5 electrolyzer needs around 3 to 4 gigawatt of renewable energy. That means around 300 to 400 windmills with 10 megawatt. So you see, that won't be possible in Germany. So that's why we have to produce this hydrogen in these countries you see here, with vast energy, renewable energy, in Australia, Africa, Namibia, wherever you see here, and to bring it then to Europe, to Germany. But these are really huge investments. Also, to give you a figure, we have one of the biggest production projects at the moment in Saudi Arabia, NEOM, 2 gigawatt electrolyzers. You need electrolyzer, you need a renewable plant, you need ammonia plant, you need ammonia harbor to ship the green hydrogen as ammonia to Europe. So this is investment for 2 gigawatt. I talked about the steel plant, 1.5 gigawatt. So this is an investment of $8 billion. $8 billion for this 2 gigawatt factory. So that shows you how big the investment is, how big the challenge is. The good question is, the good point is, we have a lot of green money in this world, a lot of green capital, a lot of investment funds investing in green energy. So, but we have to cooperate, we have to collaborate, and that is why it's really a global challenge, but also a big global task. Yeah, and why because we can do it, and because we are able to do it, we should do it. We should work together, and to really reach our climate goals, to become net zero, we have to work together, and we have to act fast, and we have to think big, all together. Thank you.